The doors to the Viridian tea house are open once more. Hello everyone, good to see you again. I always say that, but it really is good to see you out there in the ether. I'm doing pretty well, except I cracked a tooth, so it's just annoying, but hopefully I'll get it taken care of later this week. Yay! And so tomorrow, well, February 1st, whenever this video posts, but February 1st is my 49th birthday. I cannot believe I've been on this planet 49 years. It feels longer, sometimes it feels shorter, yet I am truly grateful, and I hope to see many more birthdays to come. So happy birthday to me early. All right, so I've got a lot to talk about. When don't I have a lot to talk about? But without further ado, let's begin. So for those of you who follow me on my social media, I talked about how on Facebook, I've got two new ideas clanging around in my head. And one of them is tentatively called the Violin Library. So as you know, I'm a violin student again, and my obsession is kind of run off with me. So I will be collecting books, fiction, nonfiction. One of my best friends is going to be sending me sheet music from like the 30s. Thanks, Jen, appreciate it. And artwork, and I'm making tea blends and all sorts of stuff that deals with the violin. So this first book that I'm reviewing is kind of sort of part of the Violin Library. So let's begin. So the first book is Tess Gerritsen's Playing with Fire. And this is the first time I've actually read anything by Tess Gerritsen. And let me just read the inside of it for you. Okay, in a shadowy antique shop in Rome, violinist Julia Ansdell happens upon a curious piece of music, the Incendio Waltz, and is immediately entranced by its unusual composition. Full of passion, torment, and chilling beauty, and seemingly unknown to the world, the waltz, its mournful minor key, its feverish arpeggios, appear to dance with a strange life of their own. Julia is determined to master the complex work and make its melody heard. Back home in Boston, from the moment Julia's bow moves across the strings, drawing the waltz's fiery notes into the air, something strange is stirred, and Julia's world comes under threat. The music has a terrifying and inexplicable effect on her young daughter, who seems violently transformed. Convinced that the hypnotic strains of Incendio are weaving a malevolent spell, Julia sets out to discover the man and the meaning behind the score. Her quest beckons Julia to the ancient city of Venice, where she uncovers a dark, decades-old secret involving a dangerously, sorry, the tape's over this, a dangerously, oh, I can't read that, family that will stop at nothing from bringing the truth to light. So once again, like I said, this is the first time I've ever read Tess Gerritsen, and a friend recommended this book to me because it deals with a violinist. I just have to say, let me just go ahead and say it now. So I'm giving it Viridian House's 3 pots of tea. And the reason why I give it 3 is because, well, one, on the prose side, it flowed rather well. And I like Tess Gerritsen's writing style. I really do. I mean, you're not pondering, her thoughts or scratching your head. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I like the fact about the violinist and how she finds the sheet music and how she's determined to unravel the mystery behind the piece. And then I also liked the opposite chapters that dealt with the actual composer of the piece, Lorenzo. The reason why I give it 3 pots of tea is the ending was very unsatisfactory. It came out of nowhere, and there was nothing really to kind of support it. Yet it was just, see, we've put everything into a nice little box, so yay, everything's fine. Personal opinion, it's my personal opinion, but it just left me very unsatisfied. I wish that it really was what I thought it was, but it turned out it was something completely different, like I said, and it just kind of fell flat for me. So, but Again, I did like the story of Lorenzo. I love the story of Julia playing the music, finding the music. I like the little bit of somewhat supernatural twinges that the story had, but the ending just killed it for me. So once again, Tess Gerritsen's Playing with Fire, this is one of her standalone novels, receives 3 pots of tea from Viridian Tea House. It really was a pleasure to read the book, and I mean, I might go and check out her series. What is it? It's the Rizzoli and Isles novels. I'm not sure. If any of you guys have read her other books, please let me know. Send me an email or drop me a message and let me know what you thought of her other books. But anyway, enjoyed it to a point. It had such a wonderful buildup, but it looked like a beignet that just lost all of its air and it turned cold, and nobody wants to eat cold beignets. But anyway, so the next book I want to talk about, so I have somewhat known about this author for years, coming from the South, and this man just kind of broke out into his own, and whenever you say his name, people are either like, oh my God, I love his work, or really? I've only read, well, let me just say, who am I talking about? John Grisham! And this is the second book in the Camino Island series. So I've read The Firm many, many, many years ago. And let me just do a side story. So when the movie The Firm came out, I was at university in Washington, D.C. And a couple of my friends were like, well, you know, let's go watch The Firm. I was like, okay, sure. But I love the fact that with the movie, there were a lot of scenes taking place, in Memphis. Well, there was this couple behind me, and they talked through half of the movie. But there's one scene, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie, but if you have, there's that scene where Tom Cruise is going on a chase or something, and he ends up at Mud Island. Well, the couple behind me whispering loudly was like, what's Mud Island? I don't know. Do you know what it is? No, I don't know what it is. I got so frustrated, I turned around and I said, I'm from Memphis. Mud Island is an island park with an amphitheater. And then I turned back around and finished watching the movie, and they both went quiet for the remainder of the movie. I remember that. Why do people talk in movies? I don't know. So I only read The Firm, and yeah, I mean, it was your typical legal thriller, but the Camino Island series really just kind of gripped me. So let me just read the inside of it for you. When a hurricane and contract killer both make landfall on Camino Island, there's plenty of trouble in paradise. Just as Bruce Cable's Babe Books is preparing for the return of best-selling author Mercer Mann, Hurricane Leo veers from its predicted course and heads straight for the island. Florida's governor orders a mandatory evacuation, and most residents board up their houses and flee to the mainland, but Bruce decides to stay and ride out the storm. The hurricane is devastating. Homes and condos are leveled, hotels and storefronts ruined, streets flooded, and a dozen people lose their lives. One of the apparent victims is Nelson Kerr, a friend of Bruce's and an author of thrillers. But the nature of Nelson's injuries suggests that the storm wasn't the cause of his death. He has suffered several suspicious blows, say that 3 times fast, blows to the head. Who would want Nelson dead? The local police are overwhelmed in the aftermath of the storm and ill-equipped to handle the case. Bruce begins to wonder if the shady characters in Nelson's novels might be more real than fictional. And somewhere on Nelson's computer is the manuscript of his new novel. Could the key to the case be right there in black and white? As Bruce starts to investigate, what he discovers between the lines is more shocking than any of Nelson's plot twists and far more dangerous. Camino Winds is an irresistible romp and a perfectly thrilling beach read. #1 best-selling author John Grisham at his beguiling best. It is very much a beach read. I devoured this in like 2 days. And like I said, I read the first book and I really loved Bruce and how he was kind of a naughty boy in the realms of publishing and bookstores and things like that. But the murder mystery was pretty good. It had a twist I did not see coming, and I liked how everything just kind of fell into place. I gave the book to my boyfriend who devoured it, and he's like, I feel like John Grisham is like a reporter. Like he's just writing down everything that he sees. And I said, yeah, it's kind of like he has a house on this island and he is just this silent watcher that's just watching everybody walking in front of his house and committing murders and stealing manuscripts and all sorts of stuff. But I love Camino Island. I imagine it to be kind of like Clearwater, Florida, or something like that. But I very much love the beach. I love the beach. And it also kind of reminds me of Ocean Springs, Mississippi. If you've never been there, I highly recommend that you go, because it feels like a little artistic community, kind of like Camino. I'm sure it has its group of eccentrics. But yeah, overall, Camino Winds was a good beach read while you're snowed under in Colorado. So John Grisham, Camino Winds, receives 4 pots of tea from Viridian Tea House. So, I'm sure John Grisham's books get reviewed by millions and millions of people. I am just one more voice, but I truly do enjoy the Camino Island books, and I honestly hope he writes another one, because it was good. And like I said before, the mystery was pretty good too, because I was like, what is going on here? And then when the full scene just like laid out, you just lay it out there, it got me. It really did. But yes, I truly enjoyed it. If by some chance John Grisham is watching this video, Mr. Grisham, great series. Please write more with Camino Island. I love Bruce very much so. Thank you again. So the last book of my review, checking my time here. Okay, we're good. So this woman I've known for years, but from a different perspective. I don't know how many of you guys have ever heard of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I read this book years ago, and the biggest takeaway, which is what she continues to talk about, are the morning pages. If you've never heard of morning pages, it's basically upon waking, you don't check your phone, you don't check the news, you don't get your coffee, you pull out your journal as soon as you wake up and you write 3 pages. To a lot of people, it's like, I can't write 3 pages. I can barely write 1, me included. However, in the morning pages, it kind of clears your mind of all the gunk while you were sleeping. And a lot of it is stream of consciousness. But the thing is that when you continue the practice of the morning pages, that's when certain blocks in your creativity become unblocked. And you are suddenly writing the first chapter of a novel. Or in my case, this past week, I started writing the notes to a short story that is posted on my blog, Eccentric Tea Woman. If you happen to check out my blog, it's called Gentrify. That's the short story that came from doing my morning pages. So even though I finished reading the last book that I'm getting ready to review, it feels really good to return to the morning pages. So I will admit, the first time I did morning pages, I tried it and it was fantastic, but then I got lazy and I just dropped it. So the book I'm talking about today is called The Listening Path, The Creative Art of Attention. So this is supposed to be done in the course of 6 weeks. Well, I took a chapter every day, and I really thought about it, along with the morning pages, along with what she calls artist dates and artist walks. So basically, she's talking about how poorly we listen as human beings. So let me just read the inside. Let this be your year of clarity, connection, and direction. The listening path is your guide to creative and personal transformation. With the explosively successful book, The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron transformed the lives of millions of readers. I'm one of them, honestly. Now she offers a new method of creative and personal transformation that will make you a better listener to your environment, the people around you, and yourself. In 6 weeks, or 6 days, your attention will become heightened and you will gain healing, insight, and clarity. Most important, the listening path will help you to embrace a new world of creativity that will resonate through every aspect of your life. In a time of unnecessary noise, listening is the artist's way forward. I'll get a little personal. I found that I I always thought that I was a good listener, but after reading this book, I realized no, I wasn't. My brain would kind of jump ahead while somebody's talking, and I would talk over them sometimes. That's just not cool. Or somebody's telling me a situation and I'm listening, but then my brain is like, oh my gosh, you forgot to do this, or oh my gosh, don't forget to call this person, or oh my God. And so I've lost the thread of what my friend was telling me. But I made a conscious choice. I said, I want to be a better listener. So the different ways that she talks about of listening are listening to our environment, specifically going on walks, listening to the birds or the wind rustling through trees or snow falling or a hailstorm, like in her case, a hailstorm, or a dog running around or a cat meowing, but listening to your surrounding environment. Listening to others, like I was talking about, great conversation skills. Because in listening to other people, that's a way of unlocking and heightening your awareness and your creativity as well. Not narcissistic. It's when people say, oh, hey, how you doing? A lot of times they really don't want to know. They just don't want to know. I mean, it's just the standard greeting. But now, whenever I talk to people, I'm like, how are you? And then I pause now and I wait to hear whatever they have to say, whether if it's 10 minutes long or 20 minutes long. I want to listen to others better. Listening to our higher self. It could be God, it could be the universe, it could be your intuition, what have you. Listening beyond the veil, listening to those who have passed on before us. And I'm sure some people probably rather are like, I'm supposed to talk to the dead. It's amazing what is seen as your imagination or your intuition or whatnot. Listening to our heroes, people that you admire and inspire to become or emulate. And then listening to silence. That's the hard one for me because I do not like silence at all. I think it's because of my anxiety or whatnot, but whenever I'm in a quiet room, I have to have some kind of noise, even if it's white noise. But listening to silence, that's when you actually hear what you need to hear. So I truly, truly enjoyed this book. I enjoyed going through it. It kind of miffed me a little bit because even though this is a library book, thank you, Arapahoe Library, somebody underlined halfway through the book. I'm like, it's a library book. Why would you do that? But I digress. I truly enjoyed returning to Julia Cameron's world. She is just this creative, inspiring woman. And she's 70 years old right now. I think so. But her mind is still active and sharp and just blossoming and growing. And the people that she talks with or talks about in the listening path, they were either horrible listeners, but then they changed, or they were always like this and they just expanded upon it. But if you are looking for a book that would be beneficial to you, in terms of listening and being a better friend or being a better artist or being a better whatever you're doing in life, you really cannot go wrong with reading The Listening Path. This was truly an enjoyable book. And I do have plans to go back to read The Artist's Way, but The Listening Path by Julia Cameron receives 4 pots of quiet tea from Viridian Tea House. If you're watching this, Miss Cameron, I have loved your work for years. I dropped off because I needed to find myself. And now that I am on that path and so many opportunities are blossoming and opening right in front of me, I feel so grateful to return to your words. And I feel grateful for returning to the morning pages. So on behalf of one creative person and a tea maker, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So that's all in terms of the books. Oh yeah, we still got a lot of time. Yay. So now let's get to the tea part. So this company I've bought from before and reviewed. So this is Wild Coast Brew. And this is actually one of their new blends called the Ally. They came out with 2 new blends a couple weeks ago. The Ally and the Goof. I think that's right. So I love their whole aesthetic. I truly do. They have just a small number of tea blends, but each one is inspired by a particular animal or animal spirit, I like to think. So when I saw the Ally, I said, you know, I really want to try this. So the ingredients are, oh, here we go. Holy basil, jasmine green tea, passion flower, hawthorn, cardamom, marshmallow, ginger, and orange oil. So on the back of it says, while she may be a footnote in a hero's tale, the Ally is revered most by those in close proximity. Her enduring presence adds texture to the fabric of life. Some may gloss her over for the shiny objects that more commonly adorn imaginations. Their loss. I love it. If you guys from Wild Coast Brew are watching this, you guys are fantastic. You really, really are. I wish I could just buy all of your tea all at once, because the Sage really, really was an incredible blend. And this one, I actually got my order of the Ally in last week, and I did not try it until today. So whatever reaction I have, this is not scripted. So here we go. Wild Coast Brew, the Ally. First tasting in my lovely Francophile mug. Y'all done it again. This is fantastic. This is incredibly delicious tea. And it says on here, so it says, steep at 185 degrees for 3 to 5 minutes. Serve hot with honey or chilled on ice. I did not put any honey in this, and I actually let it steep for 6 minutes because that's just what I do. But wow. This is very much a bumblebee flying through a garden. Yeah. Yeah. They chose this is exactly what this tastes like. This feeling. And on the back it says floral, citrus, and herbal. I feel like I'm sitting in a garden and it's a beautiful April day in Colorado, and I'm watching a bumblebee just go from flower to flower to flower, just pollinating. And I'm drinking a cup of this at the temperature that it is right now. And I feel, I hate to, well, just go ahead and say it, like I feel connected to the bumblebee. I really feel, wow, how do y'all do this? This is, wow. Wow. And like they say, brew the wild. Yeah, this is excellent. This is truly, truly excellent. And I actually bought, this is what it looks like after being steeped for about 6 minutes. Look at that color. Isn't that just gorgeous? Absolutely gorgeous. I'll pour the rest of that in there because I'm going to drink it. So that's all that I have today. But before I wrap up, let's do a tea breathing meditation. And as always, for those of you who are new to this, one, hello. Two, we start with a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And you can either be seated or lying down or standing up. And then you can either close your eyes or softly focus on an object before you. We're going to breathe for a number of counts. If you find yourself trailing off on a thought, don't worry about it. That is normal. Just pause. Don't beat yourself up, but just pause and say thinking to yourself, and then come back to the breathing. Then we end it with another deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then we have a sip of tea. Make sure that you have some tea or some water with you for this meditation. So without further ado, let's begin. And now, as we end this breathing meditation, take one deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly open your eyes or come into focus and enjoy a sip of your tea or your water. That is so beautiful. That is truly beautiful. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you for sticking with me. And I hope that these book reviews and tea reviews will inspire you to go out there and just live. So until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Raise your teacup high, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now. Oh, I forgot. Don't forget, to drink tea is to enjoy life. Yeah, I don't plan this stuff. See you next time.